Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Craft Computing and I'm Jeff. A couple of weeks ago, I built this workstation based off a Chinese X79 motherboard I bought on eBay. Had some pretty good success with the project, but I also ran into a couple problems. The biggest of which was actually not with the board, but actually with this Scythe Big Shuriken N2B cooler. It didn't come with the screws for the retention brackets. Well, I reached out to Scythe, and less than an hour later, they sent out an email saying they were going to send me a bag of parts. So, I've been putting off benchmarking to this point. What do you say we throw this cooler on there and let's get started. Alright, to any of you who may have built a system before, you know those builds that kind of go sideways on you? Yeah, this one's doing that. So I'm putting the Scythe cooler in. I realized that the cooler needs to be installed before you put the board into the case. Reason being is those screws down there, you have no way to get to them with anything installed. RAM really included here. The only tool they give you is that guy right there, to reach around all these components and get those screwed in. I got these bottom two in, these top ones are impossible to reach. Now, as I was removing cables to pull the board out of the system, I ripped USB 3 header right off the board. That is really my first problem that I've had with this motherboard. It was not secured to the board at all. It's literally just a plastic cap that's sitting up on top of those pins. So we're gonna have to try to put that back in there. Hopefully I didn't just bork up our USB 3 connection on the front. Stay tuned. I was able to get that USB 3 header back installed. Got all the pins in there nice and straight. It was a little tight, but as you can see on the back of the board here, that right there is the header. That cable retention mount does not go through the board at all. There's nothing holding that guide into the board, which is why the cable just ripped it right out. So I'm going to be able to use the header, but I don't know that I'll ever be able to take it out again without that same thing happening. So last time I gave the Chinese manufacturer props, this time I'm going to take a couple of points away because that's just a little bit shoddy. As far as this cooler goes, it was definitely designed to be installed outside of the outside of the case rather. It's nice and secure mounting though. I'm really impressed with it thus far. Let's go ahead and get this thing back in the case, and I'll tell you why exactly I wanted to use the Shuriken cooler. Alright, well that was way more problem than it deserved to be. Welcome back guys. The build is now complete. It's back up and running. So you can see the Scythe Shuriken N2B is up and running in there. The reason I wanted to use that cooler on this board, I'm not an idiot. I saw the eBay description before I bought this. I looked at pictures. I knew when I bought it that it did not have any VRM heatsinks. I'm not running an overclockable SKU on this board. It's an E5 2667, which is a 2-socket server CPU. So there's no overclocking potential on this box. However, it is still a 115 watt TDP chip. I wanted to make sure that the VRMs were going to stay nice and cool. The Hyper 212 Evo did not do that. This particular cooler is a top-down cooler, which means it forces air down into the CPU socket and also down through the RAM. ECC RAM has a tendency to get warm as well. This cooler in particular should cool that processor with no problem at all, as well as keeping the rest of the board components cool. I will see if I can figure out a way to modify that Asia Horse 120mm LED fan so I can put it on there and improve the aesthetics here a little bit. Overall, it doesn't look too bad, but with the rest of the case fans being LED rings and all matching, I'd like to get that one to match as well. We'll see where we go from there. But now, on to the benchmarks.
So the benchmarks are done. When this project all started, I really wanted to find out two answers. Number one, would a Chinese X79 motherboard even turn on and even accept a 2011 socket CPU when it got here? That answer absolutely is yes. The second question is just a little bit more complicated. Does this function as a workstation and VR gaming rig in 2017? I think the answer is absolutely yes, and the benchmarks bear that out. Not only did this score well into the 100 frame per second mark in GTA 5, Doom, and a couple other AAA titles that I tested, it blew the doors off a lot of benchmarks. It does play VR. It scored an 827 in Cinebench, which, while not as fast as some modern 6-core CPUs like a 6800K or a Ryzen 5 1600, it is still a very competent machine and for a fraction of the cost. If you guys have any questions on this build or want to see something specifically tested on it, let me know in the comment section down below. Throw me a like if you liked the video, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm out of beer, so I'll see you next time.
Do you see why I like this place? Oh, I love my job. Really, I do.